Hi guys, just going to try and do a really quick version of what I've been filming for the past 20 minutes because it's just too much time of my hands doing this over art supplies. So the artwork that you are about to see, you will notice when I start to ink over it, it's already got like a blue shadow of the design on the paper. That is from this carbon paper. So I created the design digitally earlier in the week and I had no interest in drawing it again. I went through all the gestural sketches, honing the design, I've done all that and I'm happy with the end result. I literally just wanted to paint this in a different medium. So I had no interest in redrawing it. And this is the laziest way that you can get a piece of your artwork, your own artwork, onto a different sheet. So carbon paper from any art store or order online, it's really cheap. This isn't an expensive way to do anything. Literally, dark side is your transfer ink, so place that down onto the paper that you want to transfer onto, your artwork on the top face up, and you literally go over the top of it in pencil or pen or whatever. Use this tape top or sides, just use it on one side and hold the other side. This is 3M tape and it's not as sticky. It allows you to lift up and see where you've missed, because obviously as you're going through you're not going to be able to see over the top where your lines are, so lift up, check as you go through until it's completed, and that's what the blue shadow lines are on the artwork. I then go over it in these pens. These are some of the most commonly used ink pens in the art world as far as I've seen. I have 2 boxes of them, one that I bought and one that came in a later ScrawlrBox, and I used the brush pen for this. It's really satisfying to use because you can change the line thickness with pressure. It's just really nice. And the palette that I used was from Derwent. I got it in the November ScrawlrBox and it is super cute. Whoopsie, super cute. This is the swatch that they send with it. It is not accurate. It is really beautiful and the colours are all obviously labelled on here if you want to get replacements and stuff, but this isn't accurate. I swatched it on my Instagram if you want to head over there, but I would always encourage, if you get new art supplies that are coloured, to swatch them because you also need to see how they behave on the paper that you're about to use. So what I find is they're all actually really muted tones, and I found that the green grey, graphite grey and steel blue all came across as warm, cold and standard tones of grey, which I thought would work perfectly for my raccoon. I did also use the brush pen that it came with, like a water brush pen thing. I actually don't like these. I find trying to control the water pressure coming out really stressful because I'm really heavy-handed and I squeeze too hard and the water just floods out the end. But for this piece I did use it just to prove that I could, basically, but I don't love it. But that's basically it. I'll go ahead and show you the video and explain anything that needs explaining. Thanks guys. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, it's already got it's not really even a ghosted blue version, it's quite intense, and that's because I pressed on quite hard with the pencil. I did that intentionally because I didn't want to have to really think about the lines. You can see on here that underneath I've already put individual fur lines in. I could have just done a rough outline of it, but I really just wanted to enjoy the process of this piece rather than doing the exact same thing again that I've gone through. I've worked out where all the lines should be. I've done the flow of the fur and the shapes of the face and that sort of thing, and I really just wanted this soothing feeling of inking over the top of it. That was the whole point of this, was to just try out the brush pen and see how it worked with the fur lines, and then to use my new palette, my new Derwent palette. So that's all I'm doing. In terms of how I got this detail in the first place, it's really hard to explain. It's sort of just a case of looking at several references of your chosen animal and just sort of seeing how the body works. The better understanding you could get of the underlying anatomy, the better you understand the movement of the body, and then you can see where there would be a crease in the fur because of the arm bending or the leg being ruched up underneath it. And it's just about understanding the anatomy that you're drawing, which comes from the gestural studies, and obviously if you do skull studies or skeletal structure studies with the muscles on top, that's all going to help you get to this point. So my best advice in terms of that is just keep practicing. The style it's not something that I've done for a long time actually. It's something I would have been more inclined to do when I was younger, because I used to do a lot more detailed work back then. Lately I've been more interested in taking complex subjects and breaking them down into simpler forms, but I really fancied doing some just intense fur detail because he's such a fluffy little animal. So I took my inspiration mostly from Kate Selke. She's a tattoo artist on Instagram, and her animal portraits are just flawless. So most of the sketches that she does are just for tattoos, but her sketches alone are better than anything I could ever create, and her fur detail is just stunning. She's got such a great understanding of the anatomy of the animal, and I definitely recommend you go and check her out if this is the sort of style you're interested in. But yeah, if I needed inspiration, that would be where I would go before I would do this piece. But in terms of the actual creation of it, it's about understanding the underlying anatomy. We can see now that I've started to go in with some of the paint. There's, as far as I'm aware, there's two general ways to watercolour paint. You can put a wash on first and then add the pigment to it and allow the pigment to flow into the water base, or you can go straight in with pigment. I tend to do the wash because it's less committed. I'm not massively comfortable with watercolour, so I find that the wash is just a little bit less of a commitment because it's still wet and you can dab it away very easily. But honestly, these paints are so flexible that I actually did find you could use them either way with as much ease. And clearly in this bit I've put way too much ink in anyway, so I might as well have just gone in dry with the ink. But as you can see, it's flowing really easily with a bit of extra water. So I wouldn't be too concerned about how you apply the watercolour in this instance with these paints. So this is the Derwent Graphitint colours, I think. And the brush that I'm using has the water in the barrel of the brush, so you just squeeze it gently to get a bit more water. But I was mentioning, I think at the beginning, that I'm not great at using these. I don't have a lot of control over the pressure. I'm really heavy-handed in general, so it doesn't really suit me because I tend to just squeeze way too much water out. So I'm probably, as you see me take the brush away to get more colour, I'm probably also just dipping it in water, which you can do. You can just use it as a normal brush. But if you can get used to it, I'd imagine it's quite a convenient method because obviously you're not having to carry around bottles of water with you. It's just in the barrel. And this actually fits within the palette, the Derwent palette, so it's a really convenient way of transporting your colours. So the colour that I'm applying here is the green grey, which I found to just be a really warm grey colour. The dark areas in the eyes and the nose and the shadow, that's graphite grey, and I found that to be the darkest one in the palette, and you can put a lot of pigment on that and bring it up to basically black. And this final colour that I'm adding here is steel blue, which I found to be just a really nice cool grey colour, and the three of them worked perfectly for this portrait. Here it is all finished. Took a photo in the nice bright daylight the following day. If you have any questions about any of the art supplies, let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, give me a like and a subscribe if you want to see more from me. But generally, just give me some comments. Let me know what you like seeing, what you want to see in future. I'll try my best. Thanks, guys.